What if I told you that success is not about being the smartest, the fastest, or the strongest, but about finding your unique path and sticking to it? It's a truth I learned the hard way. For most of my life, I believed that success was reserved for the lucky or the naturally gifted. I felt stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, unable to break free. Hi, I'm Alex, and like many of you, I've faced moments where life felt overwhelming. Growing up, I always dreamed of achieving something extraordinary, but I didn't know where to start. Every time I set a goal, I'd quickly abandon it, either because I doubted myself or because the obstacles seemed too big to overcome. I remember a particularly rough time during my final year of school. My grades were slipping, and I was surrounded by people who seemed to have everything figured out. Some wanted to be doctors, others engineers, and a few even had their own businesses at 18. Meanwhile, I felt like a leaf drifting aimlessly in the wind. I didn't know what I wanted, let alone how to achieve it. My self-doubt only grew stronger when I compared myself to others. Social media didn't help. It was a constant reminder of people celebrating their wins while I struggled to even take the first step. Every post, every success story made me feel like I was falling further behind. The worst part? I started believing that maybe success wasn't meant for me. I thought, what's the point of trying if I'm just going to fail? That mindset kept me trapped in my comfort zone, afraid to take risks or try something new. But deep down, there was a small voice that refused to let me give up. It whispered, "What if you're capable of more than you think? What if success isn't about being perfect, but about starting where you are and learning along the way?" That question stayed with me, nagging at the back of my mind. I didn't know it at the time, but it was the first spark that would eventually ignite a fire within me. The turning point came during a conversation with my grandfather. He was the kind of person who had seen life in all its colors: success, failure, joy, and hardship. One evening, as I sat with him feeling overwhelmed, he asked me a simple question. "Alex, do you know what success really means?" I hesitated. "Isn't it about achieving big things? Having money, recognition, or a great career?" I replied. He smiled and shook his head. "Success isn't measured by what you have," he said, "but by the effort you put in and the person you become in the process." That conversation changed everything for me. It made me realize that I had been chasing the wrong idea of success. I was so focused on the outcome, on what others would think, that I forgot the importance of the journey. My grandfather's words stuck with me. Success is about effort, growth, and persistence, not perfection. That night, I sat down with a notebook and asked myself, what does success mean to me? I didn't have all the answers, but I decided to focus on small, meaningful changes rather than chasing a vague idea of perfection. One of the first things I realized was that I needed to change my mindset. Instead of seeing failure as the opposite of success, I started to see it as part of the process. Every successful person, I learned, had faced setbacks and challenges, but what set them apart was their determination to keep going. I also recognized the importance of setting clear, achievable goals. Instead of overwhelming myself with huge ambitions, I started breaking them into smaller steps. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be successful," I set specific goals like improving my study habits, learning a new skill, or dedicating 30 minutes a day to personal growth. Another key realization was the power of surrounding myself with the right people. I started seeking out friends, mentors, and role models who inspired me and believed in my potential. Their encouragement gave me the confidence to take risks and push past my fears. It wasn't an instant transformation, but for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of hope and direction. I wasn't just dreaming about success anymore. I was taking the first steps toward it. With a new mindset and a fresh perspective, I embarked on my journey to success. I quickly learned that success wasn't a straight road. It was a winding path filled with ups and downs, challenges, and breakthroughs. But this time, I was ready to face it head on. The first step I took was building discipline. I realized that motivation is fleeting. It might get you started, but it's discipline that keeps you going. To develop this, I created a daily routine centered around my goals. Every morning, I'd write down 3 things I wanted to accomplish that day, no matter how small. At first, it felt tedious, but over time, it gave me a sense of purpose and momentum. Completing those tasks, even if they were as simple as reading a chapter of a book or practicing a skill for 20 minutes, felt like small victories that fueled my progress. Next, I focused on learning and self-improvement. I started reading books about personal growth, watching motivational talks, and listening to podcasts that shared success stories. One piece of advice that stuck with me was, success is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. This made me realize that I didn't need to have all the answers right away. I just needed to be willing to learn and adapt. I also embraced the power of consistency. There were days when progress felt slow, and I wondered if my efforts were even making a difference. But I reminded myself that consistency is what separates dreamers from achievers. Whether it was spending 15 minutes journaling my thoughts or dedicating time to mastering a new concept, I stayed committed, knowing that small, consistent actions lead to big results over time. Another game changer for me was learning to handle setbacks. In the past, every failure felt like a confirmation that I wasn't good enough, but now I saw failures as opportunities to grow. When I made mistakes, I asked myself, what can I learn from this? Instead of giving up, I used those moments as stepping stones to move forward. One of the most impactful decisions I made was to celebrate my progress. Too often, we focus on how far we have left to go and forget to appreciate how far we've come. Whether it was completing a challenging project or simply staying consistent for a month, I made it a point to acknowledge my efforts. These celebrations, no matter how small, reminded me of my progress and kept me motivated. Slowly but surely, I began to see the changes in myself. I was more confident, more resilient, and more focused. The person who once doubted their ability to succeed was now taking control of their life, one step at a time. As I look back on my journey, I realize that success is not about reaching a destination, but about growing into the person you're meant to be along the way. Every step I took, every challenge I faced, and every lesson I learned has shaped me into a more confident and capable version of myself. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that success is deeply personal. It's not about comparing yourself to others or meeting society's expectations. It's about understanding what truly matters to you and pursuing it with passion and purpose. When I stopped measuring my success against others and started focusing on my own goals, I felt a sense of freedom and fulfillment I had never experienced before. Another key takeaway is the importance of persistence. There were countless moments when I wanted to give up, especially when progress seemed slow or setbacks felt overwhelming. But I learned that the difference between success and failure often lies in the willingness to keep going, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Persistence doesn't mean never falling. It means getting back up every time you do. I also discovered the value of patience. In a world that's obsessed with instant results, it's easy to forget that real growth takes time. Success isn't about overnight transformations. It's about the small, consistent efforts you make every day. Those efforts may seem insignificant at first, but over time they build the foundation for extraordinary achievements. Perhaps the most powerful lesson is that success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become. The habits I built, the skills I learned, and the mindset I developed have had a lasting impact on my life. They've not only helped me achieve my goals, but also given me the confidence to tackle new challenges with courage and optimism. Now it's your turn to take the first step toward your own success. Remember, it's okay to start small. Define what success means to you, set clear goals, and take consistent action. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Most importantly, believe in yourself and your ability to grow. So, what's your next step? What's one small change you can make today that will bring you closer to your goals? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear about your journey. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like this video to show your support. Subscribe for more tips and stories about personal growth. Share this with someone who needs a little encouragement to start their journey. Success is a journey, not a race. Take it one step at a time, and remember, you have everything it takes to succeed. See you in the next video.